Hello, Mr. Claudia here, and today I'm going to show you how to use Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel to model some data. Now, modeling is just a fancy math word that means I'm going to find an equation. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to find a bunch of data on the internet. I'm going to use a software to create an equation, y equals something, which then I can analyze using my math skills. So first things first, I need some data. Now for this example in this video, I'm going to use data about the Porcupine Caribou Herd. This is a herd of caribou that live in like northern Canada. This is in like kind of northern Yukon. They have a large region where they live in. We're talking about a herd of caribou, like over 100,000 caribou. So it's really important to the ecosystem of this part of the Yukon. And there's a whole organization that tracks the caribou that makes sure its population is healthy and sees how it's doing. So it's kind of a neat herd. I mean, you can imagine like 100,000 animals is a huge number, and so they talk on this website about how the management board flies over with planes and they have different strategies they use to count the herd. Anyways, kind of a neat bit of northern Canada ecology. So I looked around in this site a little bit, and eventually I found some data. So this is the actual data for the number of caribou they count every year over the course of like 30 years. So this is the data I'm going to put into, we'll start with Google Sheets. I'm going to record, now you might find the data for whatever you're studying in a table form. Whatever it is, there should be two pieces of data for each point. So I have a year and I have a population for each year. So I've typed those up into Google Sheets. So here we are. I put time, or the year, and I typed for each point. So 1979, and the population was 110,000. And I did that for all the data I could find. Now the data is not perfect. It's not super current. So there are some limitations to any set of data, and you could always discuss that if you're doing a report about this. Okay, so now what I want to do is graph these points. So I'm going to select all of the data, and I'm going to click Insert Chart. Now Google Sheets will automatically do a lot of the work for me here and make a chart. And you can see it's put the first column on the X and the second column on the Y. It's even taken my headings, which I typed up here, and it's put it in as labels on the axes, which is really nice. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay, and you can see the population. Yeah, it looks right. It goes up. Actually, it's not perfect, right? It goes up, and it comes back down. Now, in general, we don't like line charts. These are nice things. They look nice, but that's not really the best math presentation. This is technically our data here. It's just discrete points. We don't know what's going on in between these points. Now, what we're doing is something called modeling. So we're going to make an equation that best represents these points. Now you can see again the data doesn't follow some beautiful quadratic equation. It's kind of all over the place, so your model isn't going to be perfect. The other thing about modeling is it's difficult to find a quadratic by hand, or a third order equation by hand. Like where's the intercept, like where's the vertex, how am I going to find, it's very challenging. When you're using Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, you can actually get the program to figure out the equation of the function for you. To do that, and it's a little bit unintuitive, I find, in Google Sheets, you can click on the series, so you can click on the points, or over on the right here in this chart editor, you can go to Customize, and then there'll be a whole bunch of options. Series is the blue points. You can actually plot a lot of different series, so you could plot this herd and then another caribou herd, and you can have all these different data points. So the one herd would be in blue, the next would be green, purple. So then you would click on the series you're interested in, or you click on Customize Series, and we're looking at the population series, so this blue bunch of dots. If you scroll down, you can click on the button that says Trendline. Now, what the Google Sheets does is it makes a trend line, a line of best fit for these points. Now, we both know this data doesn't look like it's following a line. It probably is following some sort of different curve. So let's try a different type. You can see all the different types. I could do exponential, polynomial, logarithmic, power series. I'm going to select polynomial. And it asks you what degree do you want. Well, degree 2 would be a quadratic, which looks pretty good. That's a lot better than the line. There's a cubic function, fourth order. So, I mean, oh, there's a sixth order. That looks kind of crazy. I'm going to stay with fourth because that, wow, it even goes up to 10. What does that look like? That doesn't look great. I'm going to use fourth for now. Depending on the situation or the assignment, you might choose a different type of trend line. Now, you want to actually know what the equation of this model is. So you're going to click on Label, and I click Use Equation, and then actually it'll put the equation up there at the top. So there's the equation of that trend line. Y equals, and then 5.4 e to the 13 minus 1.09 e to the 11 times x. So you have all the numbers. You can see in real life, the numbers aren't as clean as the quadratics or functions that we use in class. One quick note before I show you the Excel of this. When you see 5.4 E13, that's actually a really huge number. That's a fancy, computer way of writing 5.40 times 10 to the power of 13. That's scientific notation. Sorry, and that's I'm gonna write that like that. So that's what it really means. But this is how it's written in the computer. So this is actually a huge number. This is 5.540000 with many zeros after it. Okay, let's look at how we do the same thing in Excel. So I'm going to actually cheat a bit. I'm going to copy all this data into Microsoft Excel. Okay, so there it is. The Microsoft Excel behaves the exact same way. I find it's actually a little more intuitive in some cases. I select the data, I click Insert, and I go to, there's all these different chart options here. Usually for math and for analyzing data, you should always start with a scatter plot. Just a straight scatter plot. Don't get any fancy lines or things on it. So there's my curve. Ooh, I don't like how Microsoft Excel in this case was not able to interpret my headings correctly. I think it's probably because I pasted the data from Google Sheets. So anyways, that's something you can probably edit. I think you right click and you can format the axis. I can change the label. Anyways, that's for you to figure out. But I'm here to show you how to do the trend line. So in this case, you can click on the, you right click on the data points and you click Add Trend Line. And again, you'll see this thing pop up. It gives you a bunch of options. Do you want exponential, linear, logarithmic, polynomial? Well, we want polynomial in this case. And you can try different orders and see how the graph gets better or worse. So I'm going to stay, maybe I'll take the fifth order in this case. We want to see the equation, so you can click on Display Equation on the chart, and there it is. I have my polynomial expression, and now I can do all sorts of math analysis with that. Once again, you can see it gets a little confusing when you have 9e to the 12, 9e plus 12. That actually means 9 times 10 to the 12, so it's actually a really, really big number. Now that you have your function, you can do whatever you like with it. You can do the analysis that you need to do. Hope that helps you understand some of the functionality of spreadsheets and finding trend lines. Good luck with your data analysis, and we'll see you next time.